What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Timeless Movie Podcast, episode number 17. My name is Victor Vasquez. Thank you so much for coming back and listening to the first episode of 2022. That is right. This is actually the first episode. It took me a while. It took a little bit of a break, obviously, to enjoy the holidays. Hope everybody enjoyed their holiday break for Christmas and New Year's. But we are now fresh into this new year of 2022, and I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to start checking out some of the movies that I didn't get a chance to see in 2021 as we wait for new films to come out. Obviously, this whole pandemic situation that we're living in is still very much complicated, so there's still a couple of movies that are not releasing on their specific timeframes. I think Morbius was supposed to come out in January, but that one got delayed all the way till April. But now, what we're going to do in the meantime is check out those movies that I wasn't able to watch in theaters or stream during 2021. Just try to catch up on all those and do a review while we wait for any new releases. And that is the reason why for this week, we are going to be talking about The Night House. So The Night House is a movie that came out in 2021, sort of a thriller horror film. I had seen trailers before, but I believe it came out maybe in the time frame of October or November, and that month was just super busy of watching No Time to Die, Venom, you had Dune, all these different movies, and I just never got a chance to see it. So I ended up choosing this one as the first film of 2022 to review. So that's already kind of leaning into my first segment, which is really the reason why I wanted to watch this movie. It was always in the back of my mind. I always wanted to watch it, just never got a chance to. So this is really a good opportunity for me to check out The Night House and see what this film is really all about. Another reason why I wanted to watch The Night House was, that horror mystery element that was shown during the trailers. I remember seeing that and thinking, okay, what is this really about? I mean, it seems like this shows a lady that is trying to find out secrets, and then this house seems to be haunted for some weird reason, and she's, figuring out how to deal with different types of paranormal threats. And so it was very interesting to me. I'm also not very much a big horror fan, but I will watch the typical horror movie here and there. I was also interested by the main actress, which is Rebecca Hall. She actually comes out in Iron Man 3 or had a supporting role in The Town with Ben Affleck, but now she's able to lead a film with the entire narrative, so wanted to actually check that out and see how she did there as well. And lastly, I really just wanted to switch it up. I know some of the films that I typically review on this channel are very heavily to the comic book genre, typically Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, all those Marvel movies that come out. I typically like to review those as well. But hey, why not start off January for 2022 with a thriller, something different, and add a little bit of variety to this podcast. So come in and join me, guys, as we get into a little bit more of the details about this movie. And so let's kind of just jump in. After watching The Night House, I thought for a horror movie, it was actually pretty good. It had its moments of jump scares. It had creepy vibes as the story unfolded. And to be honest, I think it was actually better than the other two films that I watched horror-related in 2021. Those two films were Malignant and Halloween Kills. I definitely would have preferred to watch this film in theaters over those two. I feel like the surround sound would have made such a better impact for those jump scares. And again, it would have been a better theater experience overall than I had for Malignant and Halloween Kills. No offense to those two other films. I thought they were okay. Malignant, just kind of, I did a review on that one, or I don't even think I did a review on that one. I just didn't really care about that film. I did do one for Halloween Kills, and again, you'll probably, if you haven't checked it out, make sure to check out that episode. I felt like it was more of a comedy than a horror movie, but neither here nor there. You can always check out that podcast as well. Now, to provide a good sense of the movie, I really just want to give a brief synopsis about what it's really detailing in the film. It revolves around the life of this character named Beth, played by Rebecca Hall, who recently lost her husband. The film focuses on the perspective of Beth and how she is dealing with this tragic loss. Like most horror films, once something tragic happens, it opens up the main protagonist finding out something dark about either the person that they lost or something that they were involved in. In this case, Beth ends up dreaming about her husband, Owen, played by Evan Johnny Cate, and having these weird visions of other women in the house that they are currently staying at. Owen ended up building this lake house himself, and it's really the last thing that he was able to leave behind for Beth after his death. Little does she know that Owen had his own secrets, and she delves deep into the rabbit hole, and she ends up finding out, again, what was he up to before his death. It is revealed really in the first 20 minutes of the movie that Owen passed away via suicide. As the film goes along, we find out disturbing information that although Owen had no traces of being suicidal, he did have secrets such as books around occults and information regarding different types of mazes. It really as a type of blueprint for the house. He seemed to have a reason to have built the lake house, and that was the lake house again that Beth was staying at after his death. And really, it wasn't just for them to live there. I'm not going to spoil the ending or the craziness that ensues throughout various parts of the film, but it definitely hooks you in that first act. At least for me, it hooked me into the story. Obviously, there's a lot of films that really delve into how folks, when they lose a husband or a wife, how they deal with that type of tragedy. And you really go and through that specific type of emotional roller coaster with Beth throughout this movie for the Night House. Aside from the story, to me, the film had a great message, which was how does someone deal with the death of a loved one and how it can really alter your life and leave a void. There was a great line in the film that went along the lines of, when we do have a specific type of void, we must be careful not to fill it with something dark. And at times it's true. When people lose someone, the first thing they try to do is fill that hole, that, either fill it with something to try to alleviate that pain so that they can forget how that feels like. When in reality, we should just try to focus on grieving and taking our time to mourn and eventually get to a point where we can move on with our lives. Beth ends up having a hard time going through that during the film, but eventually gets to a point where she accepts her life as it is. The film definitely is not perfect. There are areas where I would have liked them to give a little bit more clarity, such as some of the paranormal aspects that you see in the trailer. There's also certain aspects of whether we're not sure if she's dreaming or if it's reality. I definitely understand if that was really the purpose of the film. If so, then I think it did its job because it fooled me. Because sometimes I was thinking, okay, are they going to explain if this has all been a dream? Are they going to explain that if it's all in reality? Is it in her head? Wasn't really sure. Overall, director David Bruckner did a good job telling the story of Beth and developed some really good tension during key scenes. I enjoyed watching The Night House. Once again, I was able to stream this movie. I didn't get to see it in theaters, but really enjoyed my time watching it and had, again, really good jump scares that almost got me. I didn't jump out of my seat, but it made me pay attention to a lot more of what was going around Beth and her surroundings in the film. All right, those are just really my general thoughts. Again, I enjoyed the movie. I had a good time watching it. Now I want to really cover what was my favorite actor or actress's performance that I really liked. This one's easy for me. Rebecca Hall killed it in this role as Beth. You could really feel her spiraling out of control as the movie progressed. Starting off as the woman dealing with so much pain to, again, starting her own investigation on her husband to find out what went wrong. It's really awesome to see because just like any other kind of thriller and mystery, you really start believing, okay, what was the husband up to? Did he really have these secrets? And when you find out more and more about his backstory before his death, you start feeling, okay, why was he doing this? Or why were there no signs or clues? She really showed a lot of emotion, Rebecca Hall did, which is really, to me, realistic for what other people would go through in those times of loss. In those situations, Beth starts theorizing and contemplating why their loved ones made the decisions that they made. They were definitely parts of where the film, again, had been trying to make you at least confused and make you doubt what was really going on. And Rebecca Hall matched that confusion and doubt as, again, you really didn't know what the heck was going on. Are those paranormal elements that were entering the film, are they real? Are they a part of her just head and her vision and just the tragic mindset that she was currently in that film? And Rebecca Hall portrayed that so dang well. At least from my perspective, I really believe that she was going through that pain throughout the movie. And when an actor or actress does such a good job to convince me, to me that just is a winner in my book. Awesome job by Rebecca Hall, and I can't wait to see what she does in the future. All right, now I want to jump into my favorite scene or moment of the film. Want to give a spoiler warning for anyone that hasn't seen the film. This is really your chance to skip ahead a few minutes as I talk about a scene or moment that I really enjoyed. I don't want to ruin it for you if you have not seen it, so hopefully that gives you enough time and a good enough warning that I will be delving into a little bit of spoiler territory of the film. All right, good warning enough, but jumping in, my favorite parts were really the paranormal presence that was following Beth. So spoiler, there was some type of a paranormal type of entity that was revolving around this film. It actually goes by the name of Nothing. One of my favorite moments was really a jump scare that involves this Nothing presence. Typically, the lake house that Beth was staying at had these weird figures and shapes around the house. And if you looked at it from a certain point of view, it would end up making the shape of a man's frame. Well, that frame would then turn and actually look at Beth and obviously have a sudden loud music appear to scare the crap out of me and my girlfriend as we watched the film. It happened various other times in the movie, but I thought it was very clever to include different shapes around the house to make the frame of a man. And just to, again, spoiler warning, that man was Owen. Basically, it's just kind of really portraying to Beth that, even if Owen is gone, she still sees him throughout the house. And I thought it was just a clever way to really have it be a paranormal presence. Instead of seeing like an actual demon or some type of a ghost or figure, rather you see the shapes that, with your own eyes, you can definitely feel like, okay, I feel like I just saw something, when in reality it's just the shape of a pillar or it's just a shape of some type of a hallway, items like that. I'm not going to call out each scene that I saw, but I thought it was a great way to add some creepiness to the film, and it was unique to me. Granted, I don't watch every single horror film that comes out every year, but using the shape of different objects, like those pillars or hallways, to transform into a ghostly presence was awesome to me. All right, guys. Usually I have a segment about, whether I recommend watching this in theaters or streaming. Obviously, since I'm very late on this film, you obviously know that I can't really answer that question. But I will say, I really wish I could have seen this movie in theaters because, like I mentioned earlier, I think the ability to hear that with surround sound would have been even more impressive and probably would have scared me like crazy. So just wanted to give my thoughts on that. But now let's jump into the last segment, which is, does this movie have the potential to be timeless? For any other, horror genre fan, I can definitely see them viewing this movie as a timeless one. It's got really all the good qualities. It even has a really good story. Compared to Halloween Kills or to Malignant, the other movies that I saw, not to pick on them, those stories were, they were okay. They made sense. It was nothing special. This story just felt like it clicked. It just shows you again how somebody deals with a tragic event of losing a husband, a wife. And it's just, again, goes to show you how we in our own heads sometimes can make up these assumptions and try to, again, avoid that pain, when in reality, we just have to go through it in our own manner and go through that grief as well. So again, really great story. It has really good parts, but for me, at this moment, I don't consider it a timeless movie. Once again, I did think it had really good parts. It had great jump scares, a good overall message, but I've never been a big fan of horror movies. I'm probably just too scared to watch all of them. That's probably the main reason why. But I never find myself wanting to watch a horror movie over and over and over again. Really, the only time that I get that urge to watch a horror movie is during Halloween in October. I get that feeling to just watch a scary movie, just watch something a little bit different. And so I would probably reconsider during that time frame to watch this again. But if it's any other time other than Halloween, I wouldn't watch the movie. Once again, want to throw it out there. This is nothing against Rebecca Hall, all of the cast members, director David Bruckner. I really like the movie, but compared to other timeless movies, it just doesn't have that same feeling of excitement to rewatch it. But like I always say, these are just my personal opinions, and opinions can always change after you rewatch a movie. But more importantly, I want to hear what you guys think about The Night House. Have you guys had a chance to see it? Were you able to see it in theaters? What were your favorite moments about the movie? And hey, maybe you're a horror fan. Do you think this is a timeless movie? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much, guys, for coming back and listening. My name is Victor Vasquez. This has been episode number 17 of the Timeless Movie Podcast. I appreciate every single one of you coming back and listening. Make sure to check out next week for the new podcast on another movie that we're going to be watching, hopefully from 2021. And if not, maybe a completely new movie as well. So have a great rest of your week, guys, and I'll catch you guys next week. Later.